So behind me is the third most holy place in the Muslim faith. It's the Dome of the Rock, and it's also built on the same place where the Jewish temple would have been. It's very high security to get in here. It's a beautiful, beautiful building, and then right across the grass courtyard here is one of the other mosques, and on Fridays you have 35 to 40,000 people who gather out in the area for prayer. It's just hard to believe that so many people can fit into this area, but also that they are so devoted that every Friday they come to pray. So I'm still standing here on the Temple Mount where the Dome of the Rock is directly in front of me, and behind me is the Jewish entrance to the temple, standing on the very stones that Jesus would have walked on. But right over there, that's the Mount of Olives. That's where the Garden of Gethsemane was. So Jesus is talking and praying with his disciples right in front of the Jewish entrance to the temple, which is pretty incredible when you think about it. About to walk into the Holocaust Museum. I can't take you inside, but I've heard how hard it is to walk through here, so I'll catch you on the other side. I just stepped out of the Holocaust Museum. There's not much else I can say. So we're at the Israeli Museum, and behind me is a reproduction of the city of Jerusalem at the time of Jesus' life. I'm trying to find where all of it is there. If you can see it behind me, right back there would be where the temple would have been, where we have previously been earlier in the day, and where we're at, believe we'll be going back. So right now we're actually walking underneath the city of Jerusalem, which would have been the original city. Everything got built on top of each other. The city gets destroyed, they build over it. The city gets destroyed, they build over it. So we are getting further and further into the original layers of Jesus' time. This side right here, this is the Western Wall below the city. Western Wall is where the Jews typically pray. This was part of the temple. We're down below it. We're walking in a very, very long tunnel. Did I mention that I'm claustrophobic? Glad we're moving. This is a very long tunnel. Way underground. It's the Western Wall behind me. It's a time of prayer. Let's just spend some time praying there. It's very, it's a rather powerful experience. So today was a tough day. It was a busy day, but we started off with the Holocaust Museum. And while I've been to the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C., this one struck me a little differently. When I walked out of the museum, I was reminded that we as a country, we said never again after World War II. Never again will we allow these types of atrocities to take place, not on our watch, and yet we've let it happen over and over and over again. As we were driving through the city, I was looking at the streets and I saw people walking, and it reminded me that earlier this week, we were up near the border with Syria. We were looking at the border with Syria. We were less than a mile away, maybe a little over a mile, but we heard automatic gunfire go off, several bursts of gunfire. We've also heard jet planes, fighter planes going to drop bombs, fly overhead. Those are two separate engagements, but we've been surrounded by war. And in Syria, there's a civil war taking place, and the leader of Syria has dropped chemical weapons, on his people. So while this trip has answered a lot of questions for me, it's also caused me to ask a lot of other questions, different questions, hard questions. What are we doing? I believe in a God who loves everybody. People are people, no matter where they are, no matter what flag they fly, God still loves them. And as a person called to love like God loves, how can I help stem the tide to something that's so terrible? So that's what I've been thinking about today. It's been a tough day. Also, we got to do several amazing things. We got to see that, this model of the city of Israel, which kind of helped put geography in place for me, because everything in Israel has a meaning, everything in Jerusalem has a meaning, and everything is so close together. And understanding the geography or where this happened in relation to that makes the Bible come alive. So that was really cool. And then walking through the tunnels underneath the city was incredible, because we're getting down to the layer of the city where Jesus would have walked. And we stood on stones that was original to Herod's time, that he would have built the very stones that Jesus would have walked. See, Jerusalem was built upon itself after its destruction. And so getting down that deep was amazing. But while we were there, we were next to the Western Wall, and there was this woman who was praying. And the Jews go to the Western Wall to pray because it's the closest that they could get, that they can get to where the Holy of Holies would have been, where the temple would have been. The Muslims are on the Dome of the Rock, and they won't let the Jews go there and worship. And so these people, they come and they pray because they believe that God's Spirit resides still in that place. And there was this woman who was standing in the corner of this tunnel with a book over her face, just praying, and she looked so distraught. And all I could think of was, there's a hope. There's a hope that I have that she may not even realize yet. It's the hope of Jesus. It's the hope of the resurrection. It's the hope of the fulfillment of everything that she's wanted. And I just wanted to pray for her. And I've been praying for her. I don't know what she was going through. Anyway, this is a long ending video. It's been an incredible day as we're wrapping up an incredible week. We have one day left, and then we take the flight home. And I hope you will join me for that. Thanks for watching all of this thus far. I'll see you soon. God bless.